Have you ever felt like you're falling behind, even though you're giving everything you have? Maybe life isn't unfolding the way you hoped. Maybe you're tired, uncertain, or quietly carrying a weight no one else can see. But what if the Stoics were right, that real strength isn't found in ease, but in endurance, that every challenge is not punishment, but preparation? In this journey, we'll explore what it truly means to win, not someday in the future, but right now, in the middle of everything. Not by escaping struggle, but by mastering how we meet it. Stay with me. This might just shift how you see your life. Chapter 1. Enduring is victory. If you're still standing, you're already winning. You've walked through storms that threatened to break you, heartbreak, illness, betrayal, financial ruin, or a loss that shattered your sense of self. And yet here you are, breathing, moving, becoming. That quiet act of endurance, unseen and unsung, is a victory. Modern life trains us to count wins by numbers, promotions, applause, likes, milestones. But the Stoics measured something deeper. They knew that true triumph isn't found on a stage. It's found in the silent moments when no one's watching. When you show up with nothing but pain in your chest and still choose to take the next step, that is power. When we're hurting, we tend to see only the weight, not the strength it takes to carry it. But Seneca reminded us, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. What wounds you doesn't define you. What you do next does. To endure is not passive. It is a conscious act of defiance. It's the moment you wake up after failure and say, again. The moment you feel the sting of rejection and still choose compassion. The moment you face fear and still step forward, trembling but determined. This is the kind of strength that doesn't trend. It doesn't come with praise or reward, but it rewires you from the inside out. The woman who cried quietly in the parking lot and still went in to face the day, that's strength. The man who got passed over and still showed up with integrity, that's honor. The soul who fights invisible battles every single day, not to impress, but to survive, that is Stoic resilience. You're not weak because it's hard. You're strong because you haven't given up. Every time you choose to stay kind in the face of cruelty, calm in the face of chaos, hopeful in the face of despair, you are winning. Not by the world's standards, but by your own, by Marcus Aurelius's standards. And those are the victories no one can take. So tonight, ask yourself, what did I overcome today, no matter how small? Let that question shape the way you see yourself, because you are not behind, you are not broken, you are already on the path, and each step, no matter how heavy, is proof that you are becoming. That is real success. Chapter 2. The Scoreboard Lies. True success isn't public, it's personal, it's quiet, it's internal. We live in a world obsessed with keeping score, money, titles, followers, image. From childhood, we're conditioned to measure worth by numbers and noise, grades, promotions, compliments, applause. And when those metrics are missing, we assume we're failing. But that scoreboard doesn't reflect your truth. It reflects the world's illusion. What if real progress has nothing to do with how things look, and everything to do with how deeply you've grown? Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know who you are." And that's the core of it. Who are you becoming when no one's clapping? Who are you when it's just you, the silence and your thoughts? If you are more grounded than you were last year, if you respond slower, reflect deeper, forgive faster, you are winning. If you now pause where you once spiraled, sit with discomfort rather than flee from it, or catch yourself before a reaction controls you. That is growth. And it's invisible to everyone but you. Transformation isn't linear. Some days you'll feel like you've regressed. You'll fall back into patterns you thought you'd outgrown. But that doesn't mean you've lost ground. It means you're human. Growth is not a straight climb. It's a spiral staircase. You return to the same emotional places, but now you see them from above. They don't break you like before. They teach you. Self-awareness doesn't mean never making mistakes. It means making them consciously and choosing to respond with wisdom, with grace, with clarity. The old, you might have collapsed. The current you notices, adjusts, and begins again, quicker, calmer, wiser. You're not starting over, you're starting from experience. Even your stumbles are now tools. Even your pain has become practice, and when you visit those old wounds again, because you will, you'll show up with new eyes, deeper breath, and more inner space. That is the quiet mastery the Stoics spoke of, the kind of growth that no one applauds, but that carries you forward with dignity. So this week, journal one thought, one habit, one small shift you've noticed in yourself. Not to prove anything, just to witness it. Track the evolution that lives inside you, not for likes, but for liberation. That's how we win, not on the scoreboard, but in the soul. Chapter 3. Control brings calm. Calm doesn't come from having everything figured out. It comes from understanding what belongs to you and what doesn't. It was Epictetus who drew the most liberating line in Stoic thought. Some things are within our control, some are not. That single insight, if truly internalized, can change everything. It becomes a compass when life feels chaotic, a boundary between noise and stillness, anxiety and peace. Once you accept this truth, something shifts. You stop gripping so tightly to outcomes. You stop trying to bend reality into your version of success. You begin to move with life instead of against it. You begin to trust the quality of your effort, not the timing of your reward. Your responsibility is not to control everything, it's to master your mindset, your actions, your values. That is your domain. That is where your real power lives. The rest, people's opinions, the timing of outcomes, external success, is never truly yours to command. You may influence it, but you don't own it. And understanding that isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Most of our suffering comes from forgetting this distinction. We try to control how others see us, carefully curating our image like it's armor. We try to force progress, obsessed with timelines and milestones. We try to control the future, as if preparation could prevent pain. But the more we try to grasp what's outside our hands, the more exhausted we become. Control, in the way we often chase it, is an illusion. The harder you cling, the heavier life feels. The more you try to force the river, the more you suffer. But when you loosen your grip, not out of resignation, but out of refined awareness, calm begins to surface. This is not giving up. It's growing wise. It's shifting from compulsion to clarity. You begin to live with less tension and more intention. You no longer waste energy on outcomes you can't predict. Instead, you reinvest that energy into your character, into your presence, into your values. And from that place of grounded focus, you become sharp, still, clear. You stop asking, "How do I make this go my way?" and start asking, "How can I act in alignment with who I am?" That's the essence of Stoic control. Not external dominance, but internal direction. You become a skilled navigator, not a desperate controller. You stop trying to command the wind and instead master your sail. Every morning return to this clarity. Write down 2 simple lists. What is mine to manage today? What is not? Keep it with you. And when stress arises, look at that list again. You'll find your peace isn't hiding. It's just been buried beneath everything you were never meant to carry. Chapter 4. Master your emotions. Emotional mastery isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming unshakable. The Stoics never rejected emotion. They didn't fear it, numb it, or shame it. They welcomed it, but they refused to be ruled by it. They understood that emotions are part of what makes us human. Grief, joy, anger, fear, all of them honest signals from the soul. But they also knew that if left unchecked, those signals could turn into storms. And so, they trained not to suppress emotion, but to stand within it without being consumed. To the Stoic, strength isn't found in never feeling anger. It's in pausing before you speak from it. Wisdom isn't in eliminating fear. It's in moving forward despite it. Power isn't in avoiding pain. It's in walking through it with clarity. This is not detachment. This is precision. You don't need to burn with every flame inside you. You need to learn how to sit beside that fire and choose what to do with its heat. Emotions, like waves, will rise and fall. Mastery is not about stopping the tide. It's about learning to surf. Ask yourself, when emotion rises, is this reaction aligned with the person I'm becoming? That moment of inquiry creates space between stimulus and response. And in that space lives your freedom, the ability to act from reason rather than reflex, from intention rather than impulse. That's what separates momentary chaos from lasting composure. Emotional mastery is staying rooted when everything in you wants to explode. It's choosing silence when ego begs for retaliation. It's having the awareness to say, this is anger, this is fear, and then asking, what would my higher self do now? That question alone can change your life. This practice doesn't arrive overnight. It's forged in repetition, in every pause before a reaction, in every breath taken instead of a shout, in every quiet moment where you choose to feel rather than flee. It's built through the grace you give yourself in moments of imperfection, through the responsibility you take for your inner world, instead of unleashing it onto others. Over time, your responses change. You stop living at the mercy of passing moods. You begin to lead from a place of centered strength. Emotional mastery isn't control through force. It's harmony through understanding. It's realizing your emotions are not enemies. They are messengers. They arrive with purpose. Even the most uncomfortable ones hold a lesson if you're willing to listen. Each emotional wave is not a threat to your peace. It's a chance to deepen it, to practice discernment, to act from clarity, not chaos. That is what makes you powerful. That is what makes you free. Because the person who governs their emotions cannot be governed by the world. Chapter 5. Gratitude is power. Gratitude isn't naive. It's a form of strength, a lens that clears the fog of lack and reveals the abundance already within your grasp. Before the chaos of the day begins, before the scroll, before the noise, pause. Speak aloud 3 things you're grateful for. Breath, sight, shelter. It doesn't have to be profound. It has to be present. This practice anchors the mind. It teaches your nervous system what the Stoics already knew, that presence is power and gratitude is its doorway. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to reflect on the things he could lose, not out of fear, but out of reverence. Epictetus taught that if you want to appreciate what you have, Imagine life without it. This wasn't to invite sorrow, but to sharpen your perception. To remind yourself that what you have, the breath in your lungs, the sound of laughter, the sun warming your skin, is already a form of wealth. We lose sight of this when we focus only on what's missing. We get so used to what's familiar that we forget it's a gift. The morning coffee, a friend's voice, the ability to move, to think, to begin again. These are not small things. They are sacred. And when we see them clearly, we realize we are not waiting for a miracle. We are already in the presence of one. Gratitude doesn't require perfection. It requires perspective. It doesn't deny hardship. It reframes it. It says, yes, life is difficult. And yet, look what still remains. It reminds you that even in the middle of the storm, there is still warmth, still love, still reason to keep going. The Stoics didn't see wealth as possessions or praise. They saw it in simplicity, in clarity, in the ability to be content without needing more. Gratitude, then, is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the inner shift from craving to contentment, from "I need more" to "this is enough." That doesn't mean you don't strive. It means you don't sacrifice presence for pursuit. You can want to grow and still honor where your feet are right now. In fact, when you fully appreciate what's here, your ambition becomes healthier, softer, more aligned. Gratitude changes how you relate to stress. It loosens the grip of comparison. It reminds you that your worth was never found in what you lacked, but in how deeply you see what you've been given. It teaches you that peace is not found in the finish line, but in each breath along the way. So, train your mind to notice the light, in small gestures, in fleeting moments, in the quiet strength it takes to keep showing up. The more you notice, the more you'll find. And the more you find, the more you'll realize you've already been standing in abundance. Gratitude doesn't ignore the dark. It simply reminds you there's still light too. Chapter 6. Discipline is devotion. Discipline is not punishment, it's devotion. A quiet, steady act of loyalty to your path, to your values, to the future self you are building. It's not about rigidity. It's about alignment. It's not about perfection. It's about presence. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, 'I have to go to work as a human being.'" This wasn't self-criticism, it was self-honor. It was a reminder that discipline is how we participate in life with integrity, not just when it's easy, especially when it's not. To the Stoic, discipline isn't about control for its own sake. It's not driven by obsession or external praise. It's about showing up for your duty, your purpose, your potential. Whether your work is celebrated or invisible, glamorous or mundane, when you engage with it deliberately, you turn motion into meaning. Each time you act despite resistance, when the mood isn't right, when doubt whispers louder than clarity, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. You're reinforcing your identity, not through motivation, which comes and goes, but through action, which builds and binds. Discipline is not intensity, it's consistency. It's not chasing perfection, it's honoring the process. And every time you choose effort over excuse, structure over impulse, you deepen your trust in yourself. You begin to feel less like you're performing and more like you're living in alignment with who you truly are. The Stoics didn't wait for perfect conditions. They knew that life doesn't always feel smooth or inspired, but they also knew that showing up, especially when it's inconvenient, is the birthplace of real strength. It's in those moments when you follow through without applause that your foundation is laid, quietly, powerfully. Eventually, the discipline that once felt like a chore begins to feel like clarity. You don't have to force it. You flow with it. It becomes less about grinding through the day and more about honoring each moment. You realize that action creates momentum. Momentum builds trust, and trust, over time, forges identity. Discipline becomes a mirror, reflecting your values back to you through every decision you make. So choose one area in your life where you've been inconsistent. Keep it simple: a short walk, 5 mindful breaths, 10 minutes of journaling. The goal is not to impress anyone. It's to rebuild that sacred muscle, the act of showing up, not once, but again and again. Because in that steady devotion, you are not just completing a task, you are becoming the kind of person who does. Chapter 7. Own your response. Your response is your power, and no one can take that from you. The world will provoke you, people will disappoint you, life will throw chaos your way, unfairness, misunderstanding, even cruelty. But the Stoics knew that true power doesn't lie in controlling the storm. It lies in how you choose to stand within it. Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the horrors of a concentration camp, once wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." That space, that sacred pause, is the birthplace of every wise decision you'll ever make. It's where impulse transforms into clarity, where ego steps aside and intention steps forward. It's the moment you reclaim authorship over your actions and refuse to be a puppet of your emotions. Reacting is easy. Anyone can snap back. Anyone can blame, defend, lash out. But to pause, to breathe, reflect, and choose your response with purpose, that is mastery. And it's not about being emotionless. It's about being anchored. You will feel frustration. You will feel insulted. But when you've trained yourself to slow down, even for a breath, even for a count of 5, you gain distance from the noise. You shift from being a reactor to being a responder. And in that shift, you begin to build a life that's not ruled by triggers, but by values. The Stoic doesn't seek to win arguments. They seek to win their own self-control. They ask, what matters more, proving I'm right or protecting my peace? When you choose to respond with grace rather than heat, you interrupt cycles that have ruled you for years. Cycles of defensiveness, regret, and emotional residue. You become someone who speaks from healing, not from hurt, from vision, not from reaction. And slowly, your presence becomes medicine for yourself and for others. Owning your response means reclaiming your dignity. It means living with less regret because your words are chosen, not thrown. It means becoming a stabilizing force in a reactive world, not because you're numb, but because you're awake. So the next time something triggers you, don't rush. Breathe. Count. Ask, will my response add clarity or confusion? Will it build peace or fuel fire? Choose peace, not because it's easier, but because it's wiser. Because it reflects the kind of person you're committed to becoming. That is the quiet revolution. That is Stoic strength. Chapter 8. Live in the now. Embrace the present, or lose it forever. The Stoics treated time as sacred, not as something to be managed, but as something to be honored, because once time is gone, it doesn't return. Seneca warned us centuries ago, People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but wasteful when it comes to the one thing in which it is right to be stingy: time. You are not alive in yesterday. You are not alive in tomorrow. You are alive now. And if you're not here, fully here, then you're not truly living. You're simply drifting, unconscious, while the moments that matter most slip quietly past. Every second you spend, lost in regret or fear, is a second you never get back. Each day you spend distracted is a page in your life that could have held depth, beauty, meaning, but didn't. The Stoics saw this with brutal clarity. They didn't wait for the right moment. They understood this moment is always the only one you truly have. Distraction is the thief that wears no mask. You think you're living, but you're actually elsewhere, rehashing the past or worrying about what hasn't yet happened. Your body is present, but your soul is absent. But the present, this breath, this heartbeat, this step, is where life actually unfolds. It's the only place where you can act, choose, feel, and change. The present is not just now. It is the arena of your power. When you drop fully into the moment, the world begins to shimmer. Ordinary things reveal their quiet magnificence. The smell of your coffee, the sound of rain, the warmth of your breath, the depth of a single conversation. You stop missing your life while waiting for it to become something else. Presence doesn't mean perfection. It means attention. It means no longer postponing your peace, no longer waiting for the world to become easier before you allow yourself to live. This moment, no matter how imperfect, is enough. It is the forge in which you build your courage, your clarity, your character. You cannot rewrite yesterday. You cannot guarantee tomorrow, but you can own today. You can stop waiting for the starting gun and realize life has already begun. It's happening right now. In every breath you're willing to notice. This is why the Stoics meditated on mortality, not to be morbid, but to awaken. Because when you face the truth that your time is finite, you begin to live infinitely more awake. You stop wasting time on what you can't control and begin pouring your energy into what you can. Set one small intention each day to return to the present. A breath before picking up your phone. A hand on your heart when your mind starts to spiral. Keep returning. Again and again. Because this moment, this one right here, is the only place life ever truly happens. Chapter 9. Trust over rush. You don't need to rush, you need to trust. We live in a world obsessed with urgency, faster results, bigger achievements, constant acceleration. But urgency doesn't always equal progress, and rushing doesn't always move you forward. Sometimes it pulls you further from what truly matters. The Stoics knew this. They didn't live at the speed of chaos. They moved with intention. They trusted that meaningful things, like wisdom, character, and growth, take time. They understood that fruit picked too early is bitter, and that insight forced too quickly lacks depth. Real progress is not a race, it's a rhythm. Transformation isn't something you hack, it's something you honor. Every moment you show up, not with desperation, but with steadiness. You lay a brick in the foundation of who you are becoming, and the stronger that foundation, the less shaken you'll be when life tries to move you faster than you're ready to go. You don't need to solve everything today. You don't need to figure out your entire path by Friday. You just need to keep choosing clarity over panic, intention over impulse, presence over pressure. Trust builds momentum. Momentum builds mastery. And mastery, quiet, grounded mastery, builds peace. That's the Stoic tempo. It's not dramatic. It's not loud. It's consistent. It's patient. It doesn't crave attention because it's focused on alignment, not applause. And when you move this way, with trust instead of tension, your confidence becomes unshakable because it's rooted in action, not outcome. Slowing down is not falling behind, it's tuning in. You start hearing your own voice again. You begin to recognize the false urgency that's been pushed on you by others, their timelines, their expectations, their noise. You stop asking, "How can I catch up?" and start asking, "What do I actually need right now to be whole?" You realize that the goal is not speed, it's depth. It's not to do more, it's to do what matters. And that clarity only comes when you stop sprinting and start listening. Rushing is usually a mask for fear. Fear of not being enough, fear of being left behind, fear of missing your shot. But trust is an act of strength. It's choosing to believe that you are not late, that you are becoming, that you are right on time for your own life. So write down 3 areas of your life where you feel rushed. Then ask, what would this look like if I trusted the timing instead of forcing it? Let that question become your compass, not just for a day, but for the season ahead. Because life is not a race, it's a relationship. And trust is how you stay in it long enough to truly grow. Chapter 10. You are already winning. Don't rush, don't panic. You're already winning, not someday, not later, right now. If you're still here, still breathing, still trying when you've had every reason to quit, that is victory. Not the kind that trends, but the kind that transforms. The Stoics never measured success by ease. They measured it by endurance. And by that standard, you are already living proof of strength. Struggle isn't a detour. It's the path itself. You've stood inside storms you thought would break you, and yet here you are, maybe bruised, maybe tired, but still walking. That's resilience. That's what the Stoics revered. Quiet courage, invisible perseverance, showing up again and again without needing to be seen. You've survived heartbreak and kept your heart open. You've known fear and still chosen to move forward. You've failed and still believed it was worth trying again. That's not weakness. That's mastery. Your scars aren't signs of defeat. They are symbols of survival, reminders that you've been through things others can't see, and you kept going. So when life gets heavy again, return to your center. Ask, is this within my control? If yes, act. If not, release. Come back to your breath. Come back to the moment. Come back to the truth. You didn't make it this far by accident. You made it here because you refused to give up. And that alone means you are already winning. You are not falling behind. You are becoming. With every moment you choose reflection over reaction, calm over chaos, presence over panic, you are laying bricks in the foundation of your inner strength. These aren't small choices. They are the quiet architecture of a life built on depth, on clarity, on devotion to growth, even when no one sees it. You are winning each time you pause instead of snapping, each time you breathe instead of breaking, each time you move forward without applause. Progress doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers, in your patience, in your self-respect, in the grace that now lives where there once was reactivity. This is not just change. This is creation. You are not waiting to be whole. You are remembering that you already are. So, take a moment. Write to your past self with gratitude. Write to your future self with trust. And let that serve as proof. You are already winning. If this spoke to you, comment "Still Becoming" below. And if you're ready to keep building from within, don't forget to subscribe. The next step in your journey is just one video away. Stay steady, stay present. The best of you is already in motion.